Why would you come into recruitment? Because people do it the other way. People move in from any other industry into tech. I really don't understand you. I was an software engineer for 6 years, and then 2 years I've been into tech recruitment.
You have such an advantage compared to when I was a tech recruiter. We would have wanted some sort of background in our niche because it just helps you understand
To
it more.
understand the developers easily.
Yeah, a CV could have all of the keywords and they were still the wrong person. The story that you mentioned to me, the long-winded process.
The process took like a month because it was like 7 rounds. They just specified that they need someone more experienced who can push back on stakeholders.
They never tested your stakeholder experience.
Exactly. So I was about to tell you that there was no assessment where I was tested on the stakeholder management side or where I was given a situation where I couldn't handle it at all.
Maybe a tip for the company. 2 more interviews. Stakeholder, so 10 interviews in total. And any time during those 8 stages that you felt these people aren't for me?
Not really. It was heartbreaking because I was expecting something else.
I am so against personality tests.
I know.
I despise them. These are bad people and these are good people. Like, whoever's listening to this, feel free to challenge me.
So now I'm not afraid of anything. I need not like prepare because this has already prepared me.
Namrata.
Yes.
Who is Namrata? What's your story?
Yeah. So I am 29 years old and I started working since I was 21. So it's close to like 8 years now. And I was an software engineer for 6 years. And then 2 years I've been into tech recruitment. So that's the area that I specialize. But why tech and why recruitment now? So I'll just get into that story.
Yeah.
So I think back in my country, it's like a regular thing to finish a school and either get into medicine or engineering. So that's the most choices that you have, you know. And you can choose the different disciplines of engineering according to your wish. But these were the 2 major things. If you like have a very good score in your like 12th grade, so these are the main 2 options that you go into even without thinking. Like as you progress
Since you finished school?
Yes. So like as you're progressing from your 11th grade to 12th grade, so a lot of people go to engineering or medicine. So that's the path that we choose. I think when I was finishing my schooling, it was around 2011, I think. So that was the most trending thing to do, you know, because tech was like booming for the last 10 years, I would say, since the start of 2000. So that's the job that everyone was, you know, looking up to after being a doctor. So I had the same thing. So I had really, you know, nothing in my mind. I was like just open book. But I think somewhere down in me, I was very interested in people, I would say, you know. So I just wanted to do something related to people into human resources, not specifically recruitment, but something into human resources that makes me deal with people. So that was the most likable thing for me. But I did not know how to progress, or I did not know how to make a career out of it, or what are my chances of being successful in that career, you know. So I was like, let me, you know, take the safest path. Let me do this. And I also had a mentor at my college who also advised me that probably if you don't like tech after being into it for a year or 2, probably you can make a change, you know, if you wish to.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah.
And is the mentor normal to have whilst you're at school?
No, because he was so I got placed via campus placement. The companies come to your campus and recruit you. And he was one of my placement coordinator, placement officer.
Okay.
But I had known him through my family. So
nice.
Like professionally. But yeah, so I know him apart from being a student as well. So I just went up to him one day and I was like, I have this in my mind. So what would I also had 3 job offers at that time. So I had the liberty to choose which company I want to work to as well. So I was like, hey, this is a thing, but I also want to do this. What do you think? He was like, this is a very great opportunity that you have got at the age of 20. So I don't think you want to miss this and regret. So rather get into it, and if you feel you don't like it, then there are a lot of opportunities for you to, you know, change.
Yeah.
So that's when I decided, okay, this is a great opportunity. So let me grab it and see how it goes. And then if it does not suit me, then let's see, how can I take it further. So I joined. It was it was going good for the first 3 or 4 years, but I've always had something on the back of the mind. Is this the best that we can do? Is this for me? Because a lot of people are very passionate towards coding, and they would, do extra online courses, read about it, have hands on practice.
Home labs.
Yeah, but I was not really into that. And I was also into a project which was not like purely development. It was like an already existing project, and then you would be just maintaining it and have like small developments. I
Okay.
think that also kind of like, pushed me to the side where I was not interested that much in tech, because it was nothing really exciting. It was just a routine thing that I was doing. So I was just thinking, what else to do? What else shall I do? And I also had like few of my HR friends working. So it's a corporate company, so there are a lot of people. So I used to see them and envy them. Oh, I love their job. So it's really
They're working with
nice.
people.
Yeah, they're working with people. They are moving around with pride. So how do I get there? So, and back then, I think we definitely need qualification to move into any other different field. It's not like very easy for you to just have passion and then just say, hey, I want to do this. No, you need to be qualified for you to have an entrance into that role.
Okay. Even within a corporate, you can't
Yes,
just
you can't
be
just
considered.
do it, because that really required different skill sets, because I just finished my engineering, and that really required at least a bachelor's degree or a master's degree in human resources or business administration.
Ah, okay.
That's
That's
the
even
thing.
bigger.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you can, of course, choose your disciplines as well within the business administration degree. You can either go for information technology again, so you need not code, but you can just be someone who mediates between the clients and the developers, like a
Okay.
business analyst, trying to
Yeah.
understand the business. Also, you know the technicality, but you don't have hands on, work to do on. So that's also there. But again, that's not something dealing with the people. So it's something techie again. So I thought, let's do MBA in human resources. So I got married by that time. So my husband was also like, okay, if you want to do it, just do it. But I also did not want to quit my job because I was earning well. So I was like, let me do it part time, or let me just do it in a weekend so that I can see after. It's like a 2 year program. So you can see in those 2 years whether you're really liking that as well, because you just have passion, but you're not really sure if you really want to do that as well. So you just
Yeah.
cannot have like one leg here and one leg there. So you need time to, put both legs on one side. So I thought these 2 years would give me more time to, think whether I like this or like that. But there's no harm in knowing something or qualifying in something. So I just
Yeah.
wanted to pursue my master's. So it was very hectic because I used to work 9 to 5
I
or
was
more
going to
than
ask
that,
you.
from Monday to Friday. And I have to be in the college physically
Oh.
on Saturdays and Sundays as well, the whole day. So it was a very difficult phase, but I managed it somehow. So, but I think you also need not like do it 100%. So there's like a minimum percentage requirement. And then you have your semesters as well, the real semesters where you have to go and physically write your exams. It's not
Oh
online.
my God.
So it's like you have to write like 40 pages of answers, and you need to, pass your exams semesters. So I did that as well, because I would have my exams in the morning from 8 to 1, and then I would rush back to the office for work. And I have to compensate those hours of work as well. I can't just say that, oh, I have exams and I'm just taking a break. So I did not have
Yeah.
that liberty. So you have to do your 8-9 hours of job. So I used to work from afternoons until the night, like 9-10. So that used to be a thing. But it was okay because the exams were just for a week. So I could manage. And I lived very close by as well.
Yeah.
So travel was not involved. So everything was pretty fine. So I was trying to, manage it. And it was going on. And as I said, I had like friends in the HR department as well. So I was just, shadowing them to see how is it at corporate, or can I make a move now, or when do I make a move, or when do I start asking people how to make a move. That was all, going on. And I think it was 2021. I started in 2019, and in 2020, COVID, and everybody was at home. We didn't know what to do. So I did not really think about anything at all, like switching, because you do not know the future at all of your lives even. So I did not make any attempts to, change or move, because I was still studying and my semesters were going on.
And it was all virtual from then on because of COVID. Nothing stopped.
Nothing
like the
stopped.
studying or the work.
No, but it was shifted to online. The exams were all online for one semester, and the next, when everything settled down a bit, they had us to write the exam at home and then post the exam sheets to the college.
Wow.
So that's how it worked. So I've done everything in those 2 years.
Wow.
So I used to write, and there's a time limit also. So you cannot just take the whole day to write the exam. So the exam starts at a time, and you have to post, because the questions will be released at that time online. And there is a time limit for you to, go to the postal office and post it.
Wow,
The
that's
timestamps,
really
yeah.
accurate.
Yeah. So, yeah, these were things that were going on. And in the meantime, my husband actually got an offer here. So he's also into tech. So he got an offer here in Amsterdam.
Yeah.
So we had like really no like particular city that we are looking for. We were just open, to have any job outside of India, because the first thing, we were so bored. We wanted our lives to be a little different. We wanted to experience something different. That's the only reason.
And have you been outside? Have you been to Europe during this time?
I've been to Europe before,
Okay.
just for like holiday, vacation, but not more than a week. And I've never been outside my city at all in my life.
Wow. And did you do any research prior to going to Amsterdam, or was it spontaneous?
It was very spontaneous, because he actually got an offer previously in a German company. So initially we had plans to move to Germany, but then that did not happen because of COVID, because they had like a requirement freeze. So they didn't know the future of the company. So they did not release the offer. But we were, I'm really sorry, I'm just
It's okay.
disturbing the mic. So that really interested us in Europe. We're like, okay, Europe is fun. And we were also someone who liked traveling a lot. So we were like, Europe
you travel a lot now.
Yeah. So we thought like Europe would be a best, place for us to be in, and let's see. But we did not plan anything long term, We were just like, let's go there and let's see if it, it really works out for us. You never know. Sometimes you'll be very excited to move out of the city, and then once you're here, you feel homesick. Sometimes things doesn't work out in your way, you just want to go back. So you never know. So we're like, okay, this is a very good opportunity, and I don't think it's going to come back again. So let's just grab it, whatever it is, And I was also on the verge of looking out for a HR role, right?
Yeah,
so,
you were ready
yes,
at this point.
I was ready at that time. So I was like, okay, let me quit my job in India. So let me travel with you, and then I will find myself a job there. So let's see. Let's just explore. So I was like, really, tired of working for 6 long years, the same routine, and also the 1 year of COVID, being at home, doing the same thing. I was just bored. I was like, let me quit and let me see, what's in store for me. And then we moved here, and I had no clue about
I was
the
going to
market
ask,
here.
how did it feel? Was it overwhelming? Was it exciting? Was it both?
I wouldn't say it was overwhelming. I was really positive. I was really looking forward. So I was very happy. As I said before, so I was like applying for multiple jobs, happily applying with my CV, sending motivations like, hey, this is me, whatever I said now, sending voice notes, or like some companies even ask for like a video motivation message. Yeah. To really see how motivated you are, and, if you really want to do it. And the first question everyone asks, like, why would you,
This company.
Yeah, this company, and why would you come into recruitment? Because people do it the other way. People move from any other industry into tech, because they feel that's the most happening thing, and you can earn a lot, and that's the future. So you've come the other way around. So I really don't understand you. So that's the first question that they ask you.
I think I asked you the same during our interview as well. It was so fascinating. It's just, your story is so interesting, how you've changed industries. But this ties in with the experience we had together working when we were upskilling everyone to become developers.
Yes, indeed. Yeah.
So your experience there was really amazing because you were
I could
teaching
relate
them.
a lot.
Exactly.
Yeah. So I think that's the reason I chose. I think fortunately, I've been into a lot of tech recruitment roles. I've been into three companies so far in my 2 years. That's a lot to do. But fortunately, I've been into tech. But that was not a conscious decision that I made. But now I think it's a conscious decision that I would make to stick to tech recruitment, because I do not also, not I would say waste, but I want to utilize the experience that I gained in those 6 years into what I do now. So with my experience and my passion for, people and job, so I'd like to combine both. So that's the reason I'm like specifically looking into tech recruitment or IT recruitment roles, irrespective of it being agency or in-house or
Yeah.
corporate. I'm just focusing more on the tech side.
You have such an advantage compared to when I was a tech recruiter and other tech recruiters I've worked with. I think we would have wanted some sort of background in development or our niche because it just helps you understand
to
it more.
understand the developers easily. And also, it's not that if you are a developer or if you're into tech, you know everything of it. Sometimes you also need to Google certain technologies, because I've been like a .NET SQL developer, a bit into Java as well. But I wouldn't know much about machine learning or much about, Python or Perl mainframes. Of course, you need to do a little bit research about it when you're recruiting for those roles. But I think the advantage is that you are not like really unknown of these technical jargons or like technical definitions. Or if you're talking to a tech candidate, you would, easily relate to their work and their work style. What would their day look like, and what would it consist of, or what are their expectations and everything.
Yeah.
So I think that's the advantage that you have. But I wouldn't say that we would know everything and anything, but yeah, you have like a slight advantage over others who do not have like a technical background.
I remember when I was hiring for like DevOps and, there's like different types. You just read the job description, you speak to the manager and you try and envision yourself in that position as much as you can in order to sell the company, sell the role. But I've never done something like that, whilst you've not done DevOps, for example, but you've been exposed to these environments. So you can paint a better picture than me.
Yes.
With that.
That's the advantage. So you can grasp things quicker. You can ask questions back to the hiring manager in a more, I could say, have more sensible conversation. I wouldn't say that other people don't have it, but you have a slight more advantage of asking the right questions.
Yeah.
And if at all, if you think that there are like two technologies which are very similar, you can also like suggest saying, okay, this person does not have this. Can I look for this in those people? So,
that's
things
the
like
knowledge
that.
Me
that you
and other
gain
people
from,
were missing as well. Like we couldn't make comparisons, or, a CV could have all of the keywords and they were still the wrong person for some reason or other, because they're applying it in different ways, or they did it many years ago. It's really fresh. It's not like the latest technology, for example. And so that's really a challenge for being a tech recruiter. But what about with now's situation with the layoffs last year with tech? Lots of people available for work and not as many opportunities. I know that tech recruiters are less busy now, particularly agencies and also in-house as well. Would you still go into tech recruitment knowing this, or would you divert a little bit to a different industry perhaps?
So I would say that I would go back into tech recruitment. I think there is no harm in waiting to get the right role, but you also have to justify, I think, the period that you have not worked. But I think a lot of companies are now really open about it, and they're okay with you having breaks. If you have like a justifiable answer saying that this is the situation, just being transparent.
Yeah.
This is the situation, you are into it already, so you know how the market is. I think people now in the tech recruitment field, they are happy because there are a lot of candidates and very less roles. But as recruiters
The
who are
opposite of
outside,
years
you're looking
ago.
for jobs, they do not have any opportunities because there are already a lot of people looking
Competing.
for developers. So if you want to hire 10 developers for a company, you just need one technical recruiter.
Yeah.
So also the competition is very, very heavy. And coming to the barriers that you have in Europe, that's the major thing, the
Yeah.
language barrier. So the recent thing that I noticed on LinkedIn or any job board for that matter is that if you see like a Dutch speaking job posted, you would just see 3 applicants, 4 applicants. There's no much competition. And it's been like posted over a week or 2 weeks ago, there's like very, very less competition. And I think those 3 or 4 people are the ones who also apply for different companies. So they have a lot of options.
Yeah.
But on the other hand, if you see like an English speaking job, like in a big corporate or like an agency, which only requires English, within just few hours of the job posted, you just see over 100 applications.
Yeah.
So, you really need to stand out as well in that, 100 people for you to have that one role to recruit developers. So that's the scenario right now I am in.
Yeah.
Because, if I see LinkedIn, I'm like, okay, so it was just posted an hour ago, but there are like over 100 applications. So that's when I decide to, make sure that I stand out in those 100 applications. I try to, have my CV as accurate as possible. And also, it's even if the motivation is not mandatory for that company, I think it's definitely required for you to send the motivation and genuinely have interest in that company, read about the company and what they
Yeah.
do and how you can, align with their values or what you can do best when compared to the other recruiters.
Yeah, because other people just apply and don't
they
put the
just
extra effort.
Yeah, so I think a little bit of extra effort. So you need to just take 5 or 10 minutes of your time rather than, I said in our conversation before, rather than just applying for hundreds of jobs, the same CV and not getting any replies. I think I've now learned recently to just focus on the quality ones that I really want to be in and I think would be a great fit for me. And also they would think that I'm a good fit in terms of technical background. I just try to take time, 5 or 10 minutes of my time to see if my CV is correct, if my motivation is right. Try to think and apply. And also, that is not enough. You need to really find out the key recruiter of the company.
Has that worked for you?
They have replied, yes. So,
Good.
but I wouldn't say that it has turned fruitful, but there are people who get back to you saying, hey, thanks for your genuine interest. I saw your message in your application, but I'm not the one who's, reviewing those applications. So I'll probably put a word to my team and see if you'd be a fit for the company. At least, you're getting a reply. You're not just talking to like a wall. So I think that's good. And that's also something will make you stand out. And also, again, I also saw your post on LinkedIn where you just say that, hey, I'm looking for this. Do you have any jobs? I think that's also not the way to do it. So there's a particular way. Say that this is the role that I'm talking about. I just saw this on this platform. This is the role that I'm interested in.
Yeah.
So do you mind giving me an update? I'm not asking for anything immediate, but as week progresses, can you give me an update of where my candidature stands in? What can I improve? Or what is that you're looking for that's not in me? Or can I progress? So anything that, doesn't seem like a spam. So,
And has the different approach been more successful than before? So applying for hundreds of jobs versus...
Yes, it has. And I think that's not only the reason, but also I think the market is opening up a little bit now.
Yeah, there's
That's
more
what I
talent
feel.
acquisition jobs.
Yes.
Yeah.
I think there would be like budget releases for this year and they have a roadmap and stuff like that. So I think that's the reason. I think a combination of both, I would say. Just focusing on what company you want to apply for if you're really, happy with that and trying to improve your quality of application and the way you apply.
Yeah.
Not everything turns out successful, but say if you like apply for 7 or 8, realistically, I think at least you would get 1 or 2 back. like having at least an interview, because that's the biggest challenge. I think the challenge is not in only if you're getting the job or not, but even whether you're getting the interview or not. So that's the
Yeah.
biggest challenge, because there's a lot of people out in the market. And also I feel that recruitment job which requires like entry level people do not really have to have like a strong background. They can either be from marketing, or they maybe from
Yeah.
sales, or like any other background for that. So you're like competing with a lot of people in the market, so you need to be really careful. And also there are like two situations I've been into where I've like the first few to apply, say within an hour or so, and sometimes I get rejected saying that you're good and everything, but we have a lot more candidates in the pipeline, so we would see how it goes.
But where are they from? If there's not that many applicants, where are the
They would
candidates?
say that we have reposted and we have a lot of incoming in the next week. We are not in a hurry to,
Oh, that's a different rejection.
yeah.
Yeah.
So let's see if we'll just compare and see. That's also there. That's the situation. You would be like, oh, okay, so I'm the first in the lot. So if I do well, I would get an offer. No, they would just also wait for a few other people, because they're like, it's just been a week, so let's just wait. And there's also another situation on the contrary where you apply 2 weeks later and they'll be like, we've already selected someone. So they're like, where do I stand? So what do I do? So do I have to
Yeah.
like immediately apply or wait for some time? I think it's also a bit of a luck thing with being in an interview process and getting an offer. So
I've never heard of an automated message, or if someone actually types it out, saying that you're the first, please wait for more applicants.
it's like an indirect way of saying that, oh, we have like more suitable candidates.
But even
But
then, just
but they
say
wouldn't
it.
like give you a strong rejection reason of why you're not suitable. They're just like, okay, let me see if there are like any better fishes in the sea, and then go back. It's just like, we have other better suitable candidates, so we are not proceeding with you at this moment. But they would not give you that you do not have these qualifications, or you do not have this experience, like, that as a feedback. So it's like you're lost in the sea
Yeah.
sometimes.
It also gives you hope that maybe they do get back to you, but then
Yes.
you also think you're a afterthought.
Yes.
Like you're not the main dish, you're the garlic bread. Like you're the side dish. I find that very weird. I find that very bizarre. I mean, the companies I've worked in, we've been really direct. We
I
monitor.
think there are also companies which are very direct.
Yeah.
They say that, this is what we need and this is not there in you. So, they reject you at the first, or probably they try to have you until the last and see if there is some hope of having you, but doesn't really fit. So I do not always also blame the company, but also you should reflect on yourself to see what better you can do in the next interviews
Yeah.
for you to be the superstar in the company. So it just has to go both the ways, I feel.
And talking about interviews, the story that you mentioned to me about the long-winded process, probably the craziest
longest
one
that
I've
I've
seen.
ever seen in a recruiter interview, because I've been into multiple interviews where it turned out to be offers as well, and negatively otherwise. But I think this was the most rigorous process
I've
that
never
I've
heard
been
of
in. Yeah.
that many.
But I would say the recruitment process was really, really smooth, and all the recruiters were really professional in that way. So I wouldn't really complain about that. And they also briefed me in the beginning of how the process would look like.
Okay, so they told you at the beginning.
Yes,
it would
these are the
be
rounds that we have,
8
and you have to, go
interviews.
through all these rounds. So it
Were
was,
they different?
yeah, we're very different.
Oh,
But one was like very the same, I would say. So the first one was pretty simple, the pre-screening with the recruiter themselves to see if you would be a fit for the company to move forward. That was the thing. That was also scheduled. That was not like spontaneous. So that takes like 3 days or so. And then you would be having like an online assessment where they would evaluate your critical thinking abilities, logical reasoning abilities, attention to detail abilities. They feel that that is most important for a recruiter. So
what was it? An online test?
yeah, it
Or-
was just like an multiple choice questions test. but with very limited time. So for a question, you would just have like close to 30 seconds.
Because it's critical thinking.
Yes. And then you would have like a statement saying that he is a painter, he is a this, that. So can you conclude which statements are true? It's like you have to have like a, are you familiar with the Venn diagram thing? You have to like draw logical circles to see.
It's like an IQ test or like a personality test.
Yes.
Kind
It's
of
like
thing.
more into IQ, but it's the most, quickest test that I've ever taken. It just, the question just, the time just runs. You're like,
did you miss a question?
Yes, I did. I did terribly. I think there were 3 sections. The 2 were good. 2 were good. The attention to detail was quite easy because you have to just compare 2 texts to see what difference could you spot. Just spot the difference. And there was another one. I don't really clearly remember. And the other one was the one with the logical reasoning.
Could this be, though, biased? Because what if English isn't your first language? And it takes time to translate,
time for you to
process.
read the questions as well. That's what I felt. Because because the question is this big, it's at least like 10 sentences. So by the time you finish reading the question, you have to have an answer. Because you cannot really think, draw, because the time is just running. So that was the toughest thing. And I was like, okay, I was skeptical. I didn't know if I would, really pass, because corporates are like really strict with these, because in our previous companies as well. So we are really strict with those numbers. So I think in a way that also eliminates the bias, because they have like a set percentage. So if someone goes through it, then they're through the next round. If not, no. So they say that it's to eliminate the bias. It's like, this is the test, just checking your IQ. If you have a pass percentage, then you're through. I'm not sure what the pass percentage was really, but I passed the exam. And then I was invited for like a consecutive 2-hour interview back to back with the recruiter.
Right.
So that was little tiring because you have to talk non-stop for 2 hours.
What are you talking about?
It was like from
interview?
10 to 11 and 11 immediately from 11 to 12. So they were not in the same, they could have been in the same panel because they're from the same team.
Okay.
But they were like 2 different back-to-back interviews with different people.
And was it an informal one, or was it?
No, it's a formal one. It's a formal interview about how we did now, like just introducing yourself, your experience for the first 20 minutes. And the rest would be like situational questions. Like, if this is the situation, say, if you have a conflict with your hiring manager, what would you do? Or if there's a set process, but something has gone wrong, so what would you do? So how would you handle the situation? So all these situational and behavioral questions. So what would be your reaction and what would be the right thing to do at that situation, So
and how did that make you feel? Because compare that to the interview we had last year, where it was informal.
Yeah.
I asked
Very
you the
informal.
questions, but it was in a canteen environment,
Yes.
lots of people around.
was
There
a
was multiple of us as well.
Yes.
How does that feel? Would you prefer a more professional interview or a more laid back where you can be yourself?
I think more laid back, informal, but at the same time, you need to also ask the right questions to know if that person has enough experience. I think that's better. Or probably you can word it this way. Say, have you had any experience in the past with this example? Rather than just saying that this is a hypothetical situation, what would you do? The problem is when you answer those questions, you're not really sure if that's the right answer because every person is different. Every, logical thinking is different. And it's not that you should only handle this situation in one way.
Yeah.
There are like multiple good ways to, solve that problem or handle that situation. So once you have given those answers in your perspective, you're always skeptical because you never know if the recruiter really liked your approach or really liked your thinking. If you're...
There was no direct feedback straight after, like, I agree.
No.
Wow.
If there were 2 people, but one was really little informal where I eased up a little bit. I was cracking jokes, breaking the ice, and then we're like going both ways, like, I agree, this. But there was another recruiter who was a little, just
More
sticking to the
formal.
structure, yeah, I wouldn't, have complaints, but it's just the way they were. So I couldn't really open up, or I couldn't know what he or she thinks. So that was like something
You can't really
really,
assess culture.
no,
You
no,
can't.
nothing. So that was okay, 50-50. I thought I did my best. And I was like, whatever comes after. So I did not really, know, because I tried to discuss all these answers in my head and with my husband as well. So this was a situation. I answered this, or what do you think? Is that right? I was like, it's right, but you never know what the other people on the other side thinks, if it's right or not. So you just leave
I
it
think people
free.
don't realize that you get anxiety. Like
course.
interviews are not the nicest thing to do. You're meeting a stranger and trying to prove yourself
Yeah, exactly.
to someone you don't know.
You do not also want to be very overconfident. Sometimes you just try to be confident, but then you come across like an overconfident or like a rude person.
Arrogant or
arrogant, like, he or she knows everything. And also on the other hand, where you're like very doubtful,
if you're too nervous.
too nervous, or if you're like trying to underplay a little, then they might doubt that you're not that sure.
So there's a balance.
Yeah,
Just
you there's a very thin line. You should not
confident
really
but humble.
cross it. So you have to maintain your tone in that way as well, to come across like a sound person, nice, but not like, of course, a team player as well, because they assess those qualities as well. So how do you handle these questions? The way you answer, they also gauge your qualities of being in a team, whether he or she might be able to take feedback, work with the
Yeah.
team, or is he coming across as a rude person who just works independently. So all these factors are also in there. You know all these in your mind, but whatever you deliver because you are anxious, you're a little nervous.
It's in the moment.
Yeah, it's just in the moment, it's just in the day, it's just in the hour. So that went well as well.
That was the third stage. So there's
fourth stage, I would say, because there were two
fourth.
interviews.
Oh, yeah.
And then I passed that as well. So both of them liked me. And then the last stage was online, in person, where we would meet the team. And then there was like a situational thing where they brought in like a developer. And then I had to do a mock interview with him. They would like just give you a CV. And then you have to read that CV. There are multiple CVs that you can read and choose one. Say that I got like a Java developer. So if I choose that, so there's like a developer they would bring, and that person need to act as a person on the CV. So he also gets just 5 minutes of time to be the person who he has read. And I need to ask questions based on the CV, and he need to answer questions. So it's like a spontaneous thing. And they would also ask spontaneous feedback from the developer. How did you feel about this interview? Was it meaningful? Were you stressed, or were you able to answer all questions? What did you feel about the recruiter? So he or she is going to represent our company. So what did you feel about the company and the recruiter? So that was the feedback. And they would ask me about, would you, proceed with this candidate? So what are the negatives? What are the positives? Or what is the feedback that you would pass on to the next interviewer? So these kind of things. And also there was like 2 other interviews, one with the team lead and one with the other with the team member as well. So again, all these behavioral statistical questions. What would you do if you are vulnerable? Conflicts. So why transitioning and everything? So everything went well, but I did not get the offer, unfortunately.
Did they specify why?
They just specified that they need someone more experienced who can push back on stakeholders, who can take more, strong decisions. So this was just the feedback. But they very well know my experience and what I am capable of in all these interviews.
They never tested your stakeholder experience.
Exactly. Sorry, I was about to tell you that. So there was no assessment where I was tested on the stakeholder management side, or where I was given a situation where I couldn't handle it at all because I did not have experience.
Maybe a tip for the company. 2 more interviews. Stakeholder, so 10 interviews in total.
So because I had a different experience with another company, I think 6 months ago, where I was rejected, of course, but I did not feel bad because I was really not qualified for that role. But the hiring manager really liked me and my background. I applied. She was really curious about my CV. She was like, "You've got an amazing tech background. I'm really curious." And she was like, "I just need to talk to you." So she talked to me. She understood my motivations and she was like, "I really like you, but I'm not the final decision maker. So you have to have another round with the director to see if you'll be fit for the team." And that was more like a HR role, and that also required a bit of touch.
Okay.
So I went in, and I did not do the interview well because I had no experience in all the questions that the director asked me. So I was always answering hypothetically, oh, I would do this. If this
That's
is the
also
situation,
okay.
I would do this. But I was like, if there is someone beside me who already has experience and who speaks Dutch, of course, that person would be, more preferable than me. So that's the comparison that I had because I did not have the actual experience. It's not only because the hiring manager liked me, I should also be more suitable for the role. So that really made
Yeah.
sense. That was the feedback. They were like, we really liked you. We really also want to have you in some other role in the team, but this is not the right fit for you. I understood that. I just tried my luck and they also tried their luck, but it did not really, work on the business side. So that's completely different and I understand because I myself felt that the requirements are different and I couldn't really match it. But on the contrary, here, I was not asked any questions regarding like stakeholder management where I couldn't answer, anything that I had no experience in. So that's what made me, think probably there might be something else. But
But it's such a waste of time for you, for everyone involved. Like you said, with the feedback, it seemed like all the rest was so unnecessary. And I've applied for this company. We're not going to name the name twice, and I've been rejected. And thank God, because I wouldn't have entertained this. It would have been interesting to have done it for experience.
I think that's the only good thing that you can think about because you now have experience. I have experienced everything now. So, be it like behavioral questions, situational questions, having a candidate impromptu in front of you to ask questions. So now I'm not afraid of anything.
Yeah.
I need not like prepare because this has already prepared me in a way. So it's just fine tuning in a way. And I also feel that you're not always 100% right in an interview. Sometimes you get anxious, you try to say something, then something else comes out of your mind. And when you start rethinking about it, oh, maybe this is the reason I got rejected. Maybe I'd have told this. So I think really that gives you some kind of like an experience learning so that you can just start focusing on giving better interviews next time.
I just think that, you're so talented, and like many other people searching for work who get rejected for random reasons or for no reason, there's just this imaginary block,
Yeah.
that you're getting all this feedback or no feedback, and you need to keep getting better and better, like you said, with all the practice. And now you've done every interview you can imagine. I think there's a loss of human touch maybe with interviews. When I talk with hiring managers or even my team, like to just add humanity into the interview, like you're able to assess face to face or on video if someone's a good person, if someone is sincere, if someone is a company fit. You should be able to assess that within minutes.
Yes.
Of a phone call, of a video
Yes.
call, of a face to face. It's absolutely necessary to have that skill, like just
Yes.
listening as a recruiter. And if you need to have multiple team members meet someone and test the skills of someone and do an online test, which I am so against personality
that.
tests.
Yeah, I know.
I despise them.
Yeah.
I think they're so biased, but that's just my opinion. Whoever's listening to this, feel free to challenge me. I just think it's baloney. I don't think it's real. I think it's
just there.
AI,
it's
and it's
existing.
just segmenting people even more.
Yeah.
These are bad people and these are good people. Like, you, as humans, we can interact, we can talk to each other, we can see body language, we can see, if this person is genuinely interested or if they're just doing an interview. I
Yeah.
mean, the tech interviews we've done, you know,
Yes.
the ones that are, oh, I'm busy. Oh, yeah, I'll get back to you. Like,
And
you
it's just
can,
attitude.
yeah,
You
you can
know?
tell that they're not interested. What if someone's
Yes.
really, I've studied the company and I think I can do this, and I reached out to your recruiters.
Yes.
You're genuinely
Yes, yes.
passionate. You're genuinely interested.
Yes, I think the genuine motivation and interest is really important rather than having all the qualification, because you should really see if you can train that person, because
Yeah.
no one is 100% trained for a job.
No.
Every job is different, every company is different, even though you're into tech, if you're a developer. If you're into recruitment, you're into recruitment for 10 years. Not every company is the same. Every company follows different process.
Yeah.
So I think the key thing is to note if that person can be trained, is really passionate, is really motivated. So if that's a green tick, I think then you can definitely, recruit them. So that's
Yeah.
what my feeling is, because if you're like looking for the best fish in the sea, you could go on and you never know which is the best.
It would take ages. It would take so long to find someone. And that
Exactly.
person might not exist.
Exactly.
70% of the job description, if you've done it or you can do it, and the 30% you can be trained on or is transferable from something else,
from someone, yes.
you are the
Yes,
perfect candidate
yes.
for that job.
And I also got a feedback that you are very easy to gel with, and the entire team agrees that. So I have a question for you. So what do you think about, because I was about to talk to you about this. So
Yeah.
what do you think about rejecting someone on a video call? Say if that person is not in the office. So would you rather call them on a phone directly and reject them, or send them an email, or would you rather see them face to face and reject them? So what would you prefer doing as a recruiter?
Good question. I think if it's been an interview, you need to have that connection, either a video call or it has to be personal, because you've had, especially if the person came for an interview to the office face to face, you have to have that personal touch. That's the absolute minimum that you should do, courtesy. If they've applied, had a screening call, for example, I think a call or an email is good enough. But I think if someone's gone through the effort,
multiple stages, and been there for a month, I think.
we've had people in my company fly for an interview and then get rejected and stuff, and it's a shame. It's really a shame. We've had some situations where it was outside of our control, so not even because of the manager's opinion or mine. So yeah, just as soon as possible, giving that information, I think it's necessary. Of course, I'm just speaking on behalf of recruiters now. If candidates are listening, we have incredibly busy days sometimes, so don't be offended if we genuinely don't have time. I've actually sent a voice note before to candidates to let them know about the situation, because I want them to hear my voice.
Yes.
But I'm in the office, I'm in an awkward place, or I'm quickly telling them before getting into my 2-hour training or meeting with someone else, because I also manage a team. So there's not an excuse, but I'm definitely speaking on behalf of recruiters who will listen to this and think, I don't have time, or I'm always physically at the office 5 days a week. I don't have time. Just to kind of voice that opinion, because then I know if job applicants are listening to this and they say, oh, I just get ghosted for 3 weeks and I just presume I didn't get the job. Why do you ask? Because is this how you...
so I was for the first time rejected via an scheduled video call.
Okay.
So that was really interesting for me, because a lot of people, as you said, I think sending an email is not the right way to do it, because they've been with you for a very long time and you've had a personal touch with them, you've spoken to them. So you need to really devote your time to give them the feedback. But most recruiters, they're a little anxious to reject someone. So they prefer calling them over seeing their face. But I was, asked to come on a video call. So that sometimes also, gives you false hope. So why does this recruiter want to talk to me for 30
think it's
minutes?
good news?
Yeah. For 30 minutes on a video call. So why would, someone reject you for 30 minutes, So that kind of gives you sometimes false hope. And I was on a video call and there was this feedback saying that, you were very good. All the answers were spot on. You gelled very well with the team. But at this situation, our business needs someone who's a bit more senior. So we cannot really spend time on training you on bits and pieces. So that's the only reason. Just don't take it hard on yourself. So I really appreciate the efforts of that recruiter to schedule a call with me to share the feedback on the video. But still, it was heartbreaking because I was expecting something else and it turned out to be something else.
There's no easy way to tell someone that. And I prefer to do it, like take the plaster off. I think you may have seen me when I've done it back in the previous company. If it's a video interview or something face to face, I like to just, if I know it's not going well, if it's really not what we're looking for or a mismatch, I just like to say it there and then, even on the phone. I had it the other day where I was screening someone amazing, probably too good for this position, very senior, and I could see this person doing the job. But she had some really specific requirements about like attending the office and can I travel with this position? And I just knew for a fact I've asked that question before. It was a no-brainer. Like that's a deal breaker for her. So I just said it on the phone there and then, like, I love you. I think you're great, but I love you like straight away. Like I haven't even met the person. I love who you are as a candidate and you could be really good for the job, but unfortunately there's no travel. We have to end it here. I don't want to lead you on. It's almost like a relationship. It's almost like dating. Like we have to end it here. But I, told her like, I'll keep you in mind, of course, because we're growing this team. So once we get the other people in, it's gonna grow into something, into a department. So there might be something. And I think a few days later, something came up for her already.
That's so nice.
So having an interview. So that was a good ending, but there's definitely been the fair share of, especially the video one, especially a face-to-face. I think they're worse when I just say, this isn't, like, we can't force this. There has to be a chemistry, right? Like, you can't force it. Like, we're both trying so hard to make it work. And
true.
It's just not a match. Was there in any time during those 8 stages that you felt like, maybe these people aren't for me or the company?
Not really. I wouldn't say. I think only at the last stage I couldn't really figure out what went wrong because I was trying to retrospect all the time, thinking what could be the outcome, because I think they came up with the feedback just a day later. So that I appreciate those efforts as well, because they were like, even though the process took like a month because it was like 7 rounds. So, but they were really prompt with their feedbacks and scheduling interviews. But the only thing was like, I'm just trying to figure out what was the one thing that made them reject me. So I couldn't really get the hang of it. What was that one thing? What was the one thing? I'm pretty sure that in that span, because it was like Christmas and New Year's as well, so there were not many people interviewing. So there was not really comparison as well. But as I said, again, there are a lot of competition for these kind of roles because it's international, it's English speaking. So you couldn't really figure out, what went wrong. But the only thing that you can console yourself is that you did your best. If you just keep knocking the doors, for sure, one door will open, but you don't know when. So you really have to be patient. That answers your question. So I just want to, again, get into tech recruitment because I don't want to divert again, because I've already made a very big career change. So if I change it again, so it might, not seem very genuine of me trying to, hop jobs. So, but I'm just waiting for the right time and the right company. I think I just need to be persistent.
Not desperate.
Just being persistent and telling the right reasons for the break. And I've also done a lot of things during this break as well. I started with my Dutch lessons as well. But of course, you cannot really be on a professional level in just like 3 or 6 months of time. That's really not possible. But I thought, why not, Because I've always felt that I'm not really good with languages. So I just wanted to challenge myself.
But don't you speak 2, 3 languages?
No, I just speak 2. I just speak my mother tongue and the English. But a lot of people, because India is like very diverse and there are a lot of languages, and like Europe, and a lot of people speak 2, 3 languages apart from their own mother tongue, which I was not able to do at all. So I challenged myself to see, if I can, do it. So that's one thing that I've been doing, and a lot of research about the market and some certifications where I can always be on par with the industry and not lost as a
Yeah.
recruiter. And also, I would just transparently say that this is the market situation and this is what I was up to. And I'm genuinely focusing only on tech recruitment because I do not want to deviate away from tech as well. So those were the things that I would, genuinely tell them, the recruiters, if at all they ask me about the break. But a lot of companies don't. I think that's better now. It's changing.
With the career break.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I feel because now people are like, okay, you've got talent. So if you can, go through these rounds, I'm not really worried about the career break.
Yeah.
But there
People
are
are
certain
worried.
people also I've seen where they're like, no, if there's a career break, then no.
It's a deal
Or if
breaker.
they have like jumped so many jobs in a year, then no. I can understand that because I've also been in situations where a guy had multiple jobs in a year. He was a freelancer. And then when I asked him, he just said, oh, it was not challenging enough. So I had to change, or uh, I had no projects that I could, be mapped to in the company. So I came out. So it was convincing. But as a next step, and I wanted to verify it by asking him some references. Can you give some references? And that's when I understood that it's not right because he was trying to dodge me and he did not get back to me at all. So I can understand where recruiters, come to this point, how they come to this point.
Yeah.
But if you have like a genuine reason, convincing reason, why did you jump these jobs and what was your career break, that I openly tell people even before they ask me. And just tell you, by seeing my CV, they would of course ask me this. So I just, upfront tell this was the situation of this company. This is the reason I came out. This was the situation. This is why I did this. So
Yeah.
they would be like, okay, I get that. So let's just leave that part and dive into the rest of the things.
Yeah.
So I think that's also a very good thing for you to, go and explain yourself even before they asking you questions and doubting you. Just be transparent and say what were you up to
Yeah.
these
Just own
years.
it.
Yeah, just own it and just be transparent.
I'm going to say the company's name because I feel like it's necessary for people to know. I applied for Know Before. It's like this very established.
Yeah.
I can't remember what they do. They're like cybersecurity phishing company. They had this incredible job for like an account manager, Italian and English speaking, and you'd have to like travel there and stuff.
Italian, yeah. I can
Salaries
get it.
there are crazy. Wow. I was earning half at that time. So of course, I wanted to join.
Yeah.
And I knew someone who worked there as well in
Okay.
their customer success team. He'd
Okay.
been there for 6 years. Solid advice. So I knew like I could work with him. I like the recruiter. That was 6 interviews. That's the most I've done.
Oh, 6 rounds of interviews.
Yeah. 2 were the same. They were like, I had to like, so the recruiter at the beginning was like, oh, you do some role plays. Like it's a very short process. Like I don't expect you to understand Know Before
Yeah.
inside out.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, I had to for the 2 exact same virtual interviews. It was like a panel of 3, but 2 separate times
Separate
and
times, yeah. That's the
6
same
different
like I had,
people.
yeah.
And I had to sell the product to all of them twice. And they were really challenging me, like, and I had to do loads of research because they were asking me really intricate questions about how it worked, how does it benefit their business. Like I had to ask how big was their business. It was like I was doing the job. I met the founder. I met a director of something. It was really a lot it was about, I'd say 5 weeks of interviews. And I think the only thing that invested me was it was such a big name. It was
I get that.
Italian elements to it. The
Yeah.
travel as well, speaking the language was really attractive. And of course the salary was great. And also it was a permanent contract, I think. And right at the end, it was really, and I had to give this feedback to the recruiter because I thought I just jumped hoops and then I got rejected via phone call right at the end. Right at the end, I meet the founder of the business and he just looks at my CV and he's like, oh, you're a job hopper. Like, why have you had so many jobs? And I was like, could this not have been mentioned at the beginning? So he said, you need to write me a letter with all the jobs and explain why you left each one. And I was like, I have to relive being fired or being laid off. And
I get that.
relocating.
It's not like a very good
Yeah.
thing.
But I wrote
Good
it
memory to
down.
talk to.
Like
yeah.
I really 2 word pages, wrote everything down. And yeah, he said, oh, not good enough. Like we like people who stay in companies for 3 to 5 years. I was like, wow, you could have said that
In the beginning,
on the
yeah,
screening call.
yeah.
Like, why even take the call with
I think
me?
you can have different values as a company. That's
Yeah.
totally fine. Some people have like, oh yeah, we should have long term commitment from the candidates. That's totally fine. And some people are like, I don't mind all that. I just want talent. So it could be anything, but I would say that standardize the process.
Yeah.
Talk to the lowest, the beginning people, the recruiter, and tell that this is your value. This is what you're looking for. As you said, everything, if it's cut down in the beginning, then it would save their time and our time as well, rather than have different people having different values and one person doesn't really bother about you being a job hopper and the other really concerned about it. That's already
I
double
hate that
standards, right?
term,
So
job hopper.
you should really standardize and streamline the process, and everybody in the company, I think, should focus on the core value that the company is asking for,
Yeah.
or what the director is willing to do, or what the team lead is asking for. So that really saves a lot of time and hopes as well. I think that's really a big thing, because as you said, it's a big name. Every other aspect is like appealing to you. You really want to work for the company,
Yeah.
but something really silly comes up at the end and spoils everything. So you do not want that to happen,
Yeah.
because it's not under your control, right? So all the other things are, but this is not, and it really held your hopes high, and it's not like a good experience at all.
And it was such a snap judgment because
true.
you meet all these other people. And that's also a problem with having so many interview stages, is too many chefs in the kitchen, too many opinions.
Too many judgments and too many opinions. Yeah, that's true.
So that's a huge problem. I really like to eliminate that. I think just going off how I recruited in my team recently at Esprit, it was 3 interviews for all the team members that joined. So the first one was screening, obviously. Second one, video call.
Okay.
Very casual. I think you can ask questions, and it's a very people person job, right? So I want to know, like, do we vibe together?
Yes.
If you fit with me, you're going to fit with the team. That's my principle. And then a final was to come to the office and
To have a look and see.
it's not even more about, okay, I care about what the team thinks.
Definitely.
As a snap judgment as a whole, not individual opinions and nitpicking, has to be a conclusive thought by the team. More assessing, like, does the person like the environment? Can they see themselves working here? Like, more about the candidate. And so far that's been really successful. We didn't have to do a personality test, didn't have to do a mock interview. We didn't have to do any of that. It was just very clear, very quick. They're still here, so that's good. And really thriving, also giving them the opportunity, because three of my team members are really junior. And I think if it was a different company or a bigger company, they would
ask them for like experience and like
say 3 to 6 to 9 years recruitment and like niche down, like you have to have fashion. And I don't think that's necessary most of the times. I don't think in our industry, I think people can pivot. Of course, I think with your experience is really valuable. I think you were a software developer for this reason, to be a tech recruiter. I think that was your path in life. But for me, I mean, I worked in retail and I was a waitress and I wouldn't want to recruit in those industries, to be honest. That's not where my heart is. I do prefer being general.
Yes.
Everything. Yeah. I like a bit of everything. I don't like to niche down, to be honest. I really struggled when I worked in just tech. That was really difficult for me.
I get that. Yeah. I think certain people are really comfortable with certain, things. And if you want to be just out there to see what works for you, I think that's also something really good. And coming to the point where you said that bringing people into the office to see the vibe and really see if that candidate also really likes the team. I also met a person who just had said she was an interviewer. So she interviewed a candidate and she directly asked if you like multicultural, multinational people working with them. And the answer was no from that candidate. Surprisingly, which most people
Oh,
don't do, even though you don't like, you pretend that you like.
that's really
But
bold.
this candidate was like, no. And then he was immediately rejected. That's the thing.
Okay.
But it was shocking for me to hear that this was the answer from the candidate. I was like, no other candidate would answer this because everybody wants a job. So they
Did they
wouldn't be
dig deeper to find out why
I
he or
think
she
probably
said that?
yes, but I was not told about it because I'm not from this country, so they did not want to, get into the cultural aspects of it. So I was just
Okay.
told the high level story. So yeah, she was very nice to tell me this, saying I'm just trying to, like you find the culture fit, really understand what your motives are, what do you like in an company. Because I just interviewed this person, he said he doesn't want to work in a multicultural company, so he
So
doesn't know.
strange.
Because I didn't want to have him in the team, even though he's talented, and be a spoil sport for all the other people because all my other team members are international.
That's it. It's you see people's CVs and you see their LinkedIn and
Yeah.
you see that they're extremely professional. They've got experience in XYZ, huge companies, and you really think, wow, they're perfect. And then, yeah, it shouldn't be so complicated. There shouldn't
Yeah.
be all these steps, all of these tools, to assess if someone is a fit. I think, yeah, we're losing touch a bit, I think, in our industry. It's a bit worrying. And now with AI coming in, even for job seekers, there's like, what is it called? Teal? Like the tool where it scans your CV, makes it
Yes.
perfect.
Yeah. It gives you a percentage of that's the thing that you're talking
I
about now.
think so. Yeah, it's like a really good, well, they say it's a really good like job applicant tool. Then there's the AI, I can't remember the name of this one, tool that you can have as a Chrome plugin. And it
Okay.
auto fills all your details for like Workday. And like, when you click apply and it
Yeah.
takes you to
Yeah. It
another.
saves the time with the recruiters as well.
Yeah, but it's good. But then people are like spamming, that. Of course, ChatGPT. Everyone's CVs look the same. Everyone's cover letters look the same.
Same.
Everyone's LinkedIn look the same
I
as
think it
well.
also seems very perfect sometimes.
Too perfect.
Right? Yeah, because it's like very professional. It doesn't seem like it's coming from you.
Yeah.
So it's like too professional, too perfect. So it's not really, you couldn't really see what the person is or what he or she is capable of, really. So I would say it's like a boon and a bane as well at the same time, because on the other hand, it helps you a lot with
Yeah.
instant, thoughts and answers and replies, saving a lot of time, like
What,
autofilling and
ChatGPT?
everything.
Yeah.
ChatGPT. But on the other hand, it really limits your capabilities of thinking.
Yeah, using your brain.
Yeah, using your brain.
Yeah.
Direct, yeah. So it's just like, okay, give me an answer for this. Okay, I'm just copy pasting.
Yeah.
So yeah, I don't have a really, a good opinion about it. I'm just like, okay, it's helping me in some ways, but it's not.
Yeah, I think it's a good prompt. Like if you need more inspiration for your CV, etc.
I
to
think you can use bits and pieces of it to, also personalize your message just to get an idea of what you can say, how you can sound in which tone, rather
yeah,
than being passive aggressive or sometimes
no
that also
emotion.
happens. Yeah, no emotions. So it
Yeah.
really gives you the grasp of it. But otherwise, yeah, I think you need to also put in your brain a little bit to
I
have a
have a
person.
confession.
Yes. Yeah.
I've used ChatGPT for like in-mail creation.
Yeah.
I know.
But
Oh,
it's totally fine. But it's not like you're just like completely, even without changing a word. You also tend to, make changes to it and then apply. I think that's what
of
everybody
course.
does.
Yeah,
That's what I'm saying.
you put the job description in. It's a very good prompt, and then you say what kind of in-mail would you make from this, and then it just extracts.
Yeah.
Sometimes job descriptions are 2-3 pages long, especially technical ones.
Yes.
Or managerial director, VP level. And sometimes it's 4 p.m. and you're really tired and you have to.
Yes.
You're like mentally fatigued and you don't want to read through everything.
So just put in it and see.
Yeah, and of course you tweak it because it has these keywords that ChatGPT uses.
Exactly.
And but just confession, I have done that before.
I think everybody does it.
Yeah, it does save time.
Don't be guilty. Yeah, it does save time. That's what I'm saying. It just saves a lot of, repeated manual time with ATS and stuff and GPT when you're like doing something else and you do not really want to invest a lot of time in like, thinking and writing.
Yeah.
But of course, it's important that you just have an idea and tweak your personal thoughts into it and just send it across.
Yeah. Me and my team have been using a tool this week, AI tool. It's called MetaView. And basically, have you heard of it?
No.
It's quite new. So it interacts with all platforms like Google Meet, Zoom, Teams, all of the video calling ones. So it's basically used, of course, you have to check per country because my recruiters are based in Germany. And for them, it's like the GDPR and stuff like that. They have to check if it's okay with the candidate before recording. It's in the background. So when you have a video call,
plugin,
it transcribes your whole conversation. So you're not typing and looking away and talking to the candidate. So you save time essentially with the notes. It's accurate notes because it's transcribing as you speak. And also it translates in real time. So my German team tried it in German. And it was very flawless English. Few tweaks, but you can send these notes to the hiring manager straight after the call.
After the call, it's so accurate.
Yeah.
Oh, that's really nice.
It's interesting. I think that's in the right direction.
I was about to ask you this because does it like completely contrast from your opinions about the candidate, or is it like does it like give you an opinion, or is it just like what the candidate says?
It's just the words of what everyone says.
The ultimate decision is in the people's hands. So.
Yeah, and I'm surprised with like accents and stuff. I have this very British one, but in Germany, they spoke in German and it was flawless translation to English. I think that's one of the tools I approve of in AI because learning to type as someone's speaking.
It is a skill that you need to develop.
Yeah,
right.
And they can see you on the video call, like you're just like this, like you're not giving your full attention, and you can get to more topics.
Yeah, you also sometimes get lost.
Yeah,
sometimes that's also there. But myself and other recruiters also sometimes give a heads up, like, hey, I'm listening to you actively, but I have to make notes.
Yeah.
But sometimes, as you say, you do not have like a personal. You do not look eye to eye, and you do not know. They're like, okay. Oh, yeah. So it's like a bit of a disconnect sometimes you have with the recruiter, if you do not have like a continuous conversation, eye to eye. So I think this is a very good tool which really helps you focus on the candidate rather than taking notes.
Well, do you remember when we used to do interviews? Not going to say the name or the hiring manager's name, but when we would do face-to-face interviews and the manager would just be on their phone and it looks really rude. And we had a candidate once saying like that was really unprofessional, but the manager was taking notes of the candidate. Instead of speaking to the candidate live, they were taking notes as the candidate was speaking. And there's that. I think it's just a human thing where if you're looking away and it does look like you're disinterested.
That's a natural thing that comes to the other side of the person.
I think even if you say it like, oh, I'm just taking notes,
but still, there is a disconnect. I said it just looks that person is like very not interested in talking to you, understanding you, but rather than taking notes for passing it on to the hiring manager. So it's like
getting information.
Exactly.
Instead of like having that
conversation and connection.
Yeah. So this is definitely something I'm interested in. More on this direction. Not. I think saving time is good, but we don't want to lose. The human element of recruitment. I think that's going to be a big topic for this year. More if this is the first tool coming out last year. Imagine all of the others.
Yeah, I can imagine
this year. I've heard of this other one where it's a plugin again, and it spam applies to jobs like on Indeed or on LinkedIn for you, like hundreds.
Like put your manual effort in applying for jobs.
So I think I don't know how it works exactly, but I think you put your details in, for example, for like easy apply and stuff.
Yeah.
Or maybe even a PDF attachment. I don't know how it works, but I've heard that people on Reddit, I was reading through because I'm always curious, that people have been using it and it's so successful. It's hundreds of jobs a day, but then you get to this stage where you're spamming and, you might be, I don't know, certain ATSs don't like that if you apply for so many jobs.
Yeah, because we've also been in situations where a random resume comes to your, say if you're looking for like a machine learning engineer and someone with a totally different background, sales or marketing applies, and then we think like, what is she or he up to? Like, why did he even? I think this is spamming, right? Just like sending across and annoying people around. I think it's not the rightful thing to do, to be honest. But I think, yeah, we can approve of the tools that really, saves time and does not like interrupt with the human emotions and, just being fake out there. I think, yeah, there are tools which I think will get popular in this coming year as well, like ChatGPT. And what is the one you told? Media.
MetaView. And then there's Teal. I think it's called Teal, something like this. I have to put the word somewhere on the screen because I might be wrong. But that one was really interesting with the reviews from job seekers. It said it just simplified the job application process, and like it apparently reviews. So you put your CV in, it changes it for you.
According to the job description, you mean?
No, I think to just make it more professional or more neat. And then it gives you feedback as well. And yeah, it's a very interactive tool, and it keeps, I think, a log of the jobs you applied for. Like it's very, you worry that it's got too much data about you.
But I think you'll also be on track, like which companies you've applied to. Sometimes you tend to apply to the same company twice. That also happens.
Yeah, sometimes you might forget.
Yeah. And I've also come across, I think this is also quite popular, TopCV. Have you heard about it?
TopCV,
no. Where you send in your CV and it really sends you like, how do you sound to a recruiter? Do you like sound very passive, very boring? You're just like just doing the activities or the responsibilities in the job, or are you really passionately applying for that job? So just reads the sentences and assesses the tone and the mode in which you have written the CV. Says that, hey, you've just said that you've managed this. It just seems like a normal thing. So rather word it in a different way.
Oh, is it AI?
It's AI. Okay. It's AI, but also it's a tool actually. But
I should look at this.
Yeah, it's Top CV, but there are all. I think it's just free for once, and it's like a paid subscription. I believe there are people working on it as well. It's just not AI. It's a tool developed with AI, but there are also people working on it for the enhancements and stuff like that. It's a subscription tool, which sends in even suggestions saying that you can change this sentence to this, which will sound even more better. So it just sends you the whole summary of your CV, which I think really is interesting. Because sometimes you just copy a random CV on internet, you just add things, but you really do not sound anything special. It's just the same other CV that other recruiter would have, I managed this, I assisted this, I did this, did that, rather wording it in a different way where it sets you apart from other people, saying that, oh, he or she was really passionate. So they have done this in the leadership way they have led the team. So, differentiating you from the other people. It's called Top CV.
Ah, nice. I think the biggest mistake, maybe you agree with me, people make is to put their job description on their experience.
Yeah, the same.
Instead of I achieved this, I filled this many positions.
Yes. I think also a lot of recruiters as us also appreciate quantitative data.
Yeah.
Like, rather than just writing stories. If you're applying for a sales job, if you're a recruiter, just put in the numbers and say that this is what you've achieved, this and this, talk details. That really helps them to know what you have really done, rather than saying
hypothetical
sentences, just copying your job description. I think quantitative data also really speaks for you.
Yeah. And do you remember with our old ATS, do you remember we would put a job description in and it would say, this sounds very masculine. Do you remember that was amazing?
Yes, that's also there. Because like certain words like strong,
manpower and stuff like
so
that.
It's like masculine. So you have to like have a bias.
Yeah.
Not too feminine or too masculine. So I think these all comes under the diversity and inclusivity category.
Yeah. I thought it was so useful because with our vocabulary, sometimes you forget that you say these specific words or terms. And it was really, I think it elevates your game to write a more detailed job description that's for everyone and not just specific people. And I remember you couldn't even post it Do you remember it got like the red?
Yes.
Like you have to
Reds
change
and
it.
yes, it says it like has a meter, where if it's like green, a red, it's more like either masculine or feminine. If it's like blue, it's intermediate. Then it's green, it's like perfectly neutral.
Ready to go. Yeah.
So I think those are like really great, because sometimes, as you say, you just like write it in a flow. You never know that you're using it in a wrong way. And these really helps you to, have a balance, strike a balance. Yeah.
I think on an ending note, if someone was to approach you or contact you for a position, if they're listening or watching this and they think Namrata is amazing, I'm going to get her on my team, how can they approach you?
So I am, of course, available on LinkedIn, and I have my email address also there. So because I was a recruiter, my details are always there. So I've also been approaching companies via emails as well, as I said before, and also sending personalized message via connections to the recruiters who are responsible for the company. So I think that would be really helpful.
Don't go to her house. Don't just show up. Namrata, I've got a job for you.
Yes. So yeah, I'm quite not really spamming people, but I'm quite active on LinkedIn just to also know what's going on in the industry.
Yeah.
To see what people are up to, if jobs are opening, if people are moving jobs. I'm like, okay, I'm not really jealous, but I'm like, okay, this company has opened up, so they've offered one recently, so why not try.
Yeah.
So that's how I look at it, and just like try to get in with the industry trend. Yeah.
Yeah, you've got to keep going, even if you're on a career break or you're laid off, for example, that you, as a recruiter especially, you need to keep on top of it. I think that's from your IT DNA. You've got to keep up with the trends, know the latest technologies and tools.
Yes, definitely. And specifically being in a tech recruitment,
even
rather
more
than
so.
being passionately, associated with recruitment, you also need to know what's going on with tech.
Yeah.
Because that's once you land into the job, that also really plays a bigger part, right? So you need to understand the industry part of it. So like fashion, like you're into fashion now. So
oh God, yeah.
really, you really need to get into depth of it. So
yeah, I think with everything moving so quickly,
definitely
everything
with
being
fashion
online
as well, and tech as well. I think
sure.
everything in that sense.
Yeah, you can't just sit still. It would be nice to just relax and do nothing, but even people who are unemployed or affected by layoffs are continuously
learning, upgrading themselves.
And they have more time to do it. I think that's such an underrated thing for people to know, that you have more time to learn new things. You
can do it leisurely, so you're not like in a pressure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Environment.
Yes.
And for anyone watching and listening again, I highly recommend Namrata. I think she's fabulous. If I could hire you tomorrow, I would. I'm still trying to.
No pressure, yeah.
But thank you so much.
Thank you so much for having me. And it was, I think we have known each other for a year now.
Just a year, really?
A year, but it seems very long.
I feel like I've known you for like 5 or 6. Wow.
It's been a year, but it was an amazing experience, even though it was short.
The work experience. Or I thought you meant our friendship.
We've come a long way. I think there's a long way to go as well from here.
Trauma bond.
Yeah. Trauma bond. It was lovely being here, and thank you so much for having me and, share my experiences as an expat and having a career change. I think this would also have, some idea in people who are looking for a career change or moving to a different country and starting a new life. So everything and anything is possible. Just be persistent and resilient. That's the thing that I would say.